Welcome to Part 2 of the Fundations webinar training presented by the Elementary English Language Arts team. Part 2 will help develop an understanding of the components found in the Fundations resource. Part 2 will involve work with the teacher's manual, so it is important to have your guide handy during this webinar. We are connecting the work today through 3 teacher rubric indicators. You'll notice that we've chosen to elevate some teacher look-fors underneath each indicator to show what it might look like for someone observing in your classroom after our learning today. Please keep these in mind as we dig deeper into the components of the Fundations resource. You will see our webinar objectives for Part 2 listed here. Our hope is that participants will become familiar with the layout in the teacher's manual and deepen your understanding of the structure suggested for implementing this resource. Let's begin by taking a look at the scope and sequence provided in your manual. You will find this on page 19 in the teacher's manual for grades K, 1, 2, and 3. How might the scope and sequence be a helpful tool as you think about your students? Take a moment to think about this. Pause this recording until you have found this page, and then resume when you are ready. You may have noticed that the scope and sequence for the other levels are included here. Teachers have found this scope and sequence to be a great tool to use for understanding your students' previous learning, to help understand the development of skills to better plan for core instruction and intervention, to plan for areas that will need more or less time, and to foresee potential pitfalls their students may face and plan accordingly. Once you have become familiar with the resource and are ready to begin planning instruction, your next steps should include reviewing your CAP units and then considering what modifications may need to be made to the resource to ensure you are covering all that is laid out in our CAP units. Fundations uses a variety of activities to provide practice of new and existing skills students have learned. Each of these has its own standard procedure. The Learning Activity Overview in your manual provides an overview, synopsis, procedure with script, and differentiation for these activities. This is a good place to start when you're just learning the resource, but don't worry about learning them all at once. They will be introduced gradually as you progress through the units. Once you have an understanding of each of the activities, you can use the activity cue cards provided in your kit to help you plan and complete each activity within your lesson. You will find the overviews begin on page 21 for Level K, page 25 for Level 1, page 27 for Level 2, and page 37 for Level 3. Pause this video and take some time to familiarize yourself with these pages and these activities. Resume the webinar when you are ready. You can also find video demonstrations of each of these activities in the online PLC community. You will find the website information and access code on the first page of your teacher's manual. We have provided this visual so you can see how all of the activities in Fundations support the important components of literacy skills. Each day, you will be doing 2 to 5 activities from above. The highlighted items are those that are reoccurring activities, but they do not have a standard procedure. Their procedure can be found in the unit itself. You will notice that we have elevated spelling and handwriting. It is important to notice that Fundations takes an integrated approach to teaching these skills. Following the Learning Activity Overview, you will find the orientation and units, both of which are laid out the same. You will want to revisit the orientation section as you set up the learning in your classroom, but for the purpose of our work today, please find Unit 1 in your manual now. You may wish to pause this video and resume once you have found this section. Spend time looking for the 6 important components of a unit. In a nutshell, which gives you the overall gist of new concepts and planned time in the unit. The introduction, which gives you the overview of the unit. Differentiation, which provides supports for remediation and acceleration. Getting ready, which is the materials, preparations, and activities to review as a teacher. And the student learning plan, which gives you the learning activity schedule. And finally, the resources, found at the end of the unit, where you can find lists of words teachers should be elevating during the unit. Take as much time as you need to familiarize yourself with the unit layout. Resume the video when you are ready. Before we move into the daily plan, let's talk a little bit about what to expect in the structure of a daily lesson. Each lesson is 30 minutes. It includes 2 to 5 learning activities that are presented and rotated. Each of those activities highlight essential skills in an integrated manner and provide lots of repetition in varied ways. And as mentioned earlier, each of those activities has a standard procedure. Now, let's take a look at a daily lesson. When looking at each day's lesson, you will find a daily plan in a blue box. Here you will find the student learning plan that includes the specific activities students will engage in for that day, as well as the teacher and student materials needed for the lesson. Following the daily plan is the specific content you will be teaching and the script for the lesson. Pause here while you identify and explore these parts of a lesson in your manual. Please resume when you are ready. We would like to take this time to share with you that Fundations covers the 6 syllable types you see here. You will also see in the second poster the words "Mark my words" and an example of how to do this. The marking of words is a procedure that is multisensory in nature and involves metacognition, which ultimately supports deep levels of phonics understanding. You can find videos and additional support for marking of words in the PLC videos online. Another multisensory approach Fundations uses is tapping. This is a tool for both reading and spelling that is used initially with the goal that students will be able to read and spell without tapping. Keep this in mind as you move through the units and plan for various grade levels. It is important to know your students and be aware of when to scaffold and when to remove those scaffolds from your instruction based on your students' needs. Up next, we will show you a video that does a nice job of demonstrating the tapping of the 6 different syllable types. You can also find demonstrations in the online resources.
We're going to do some demonstrations with tapping out words for Fundations. First, we're going to start with digraph. Okay. A digraph has 2 letters but only 1 sound, so it gets 1 tap. Sh, it, chip. Okay. We also have 3-letter glued sounds. Okay. When we tap those out, we use our 3 fingers and we glue them together. So you would tap this out, lung. For our syllable types, we'll first start with cat, which is a closed syllable, a short vowel sound. Each letter gets its own tap. Act, cat. Vowel consonant E, syllable type. Okay. The E is silent, it does not get a tap, so this is just tapped with 3 fingers. J, O, joke. The open syllable, each letter gets its own tap. E, me. For the vowel team syllables, vowel team only gets 1 tap also. So this is the, ate, bait. The R-controlled syllable, again, it only gets 1 tap. The, bird. If you have a word with a suffix, any of the suffixes, they do not get tapped out. ed, er, est, they don't get a tap out. All you do is tap out the base word, and then you read it with the suffix. So again, it would be the, bird, herds. You do not tap out trick words the English language. And for multisyllabic words, you do not have to tap out each syllable. You only need to tap out the syllable that's causing the trouble. So if you need to scoop and read admit, but maybe the second syllable is causing the trouble, they just tap out mit. Mit, admit. One more syllable type is the consonant LE syllable. And since the E is silent, you do not tap that sound out either. This is bugle. And if this is the problem, that's the syllable that's causing the problem, you would do g-gle. Put it together. Bugle. Thanks.
I have referred to the online resource provided by the authors of this resource. In addition to the demonstration videos, you will find lesson templates, printable materials, and assessment tools that you may find useful. For additional support, we will be adding video recordings of lesson examples from our Jeffco colleagues. We'll be adding this to our Fundations page on the Elementary ELA website. We are hopeful that you have found these modules helpful, and as always, we are happy to support you in any way.